Of course, these countries don't have to buy Russian gas, of course, but if they want it, they better pay in rubles, or they'll be paying more elsewhere. For Russia, normalizing the economy will require both time and strategic thinking. It also heavily depends on the West's attitude towards Russia, especially after Trump takes office. So recently, the Russian ruble nosediving has been all over the internet just after the outbreak of the Russian-Ukraine conflict. Before the conflict, a dollar was worth around 75 rubles. Back in February 2022, the ruble ended up losing nearly half its value. But then after a month later, Russia flipped the script. The ruble started bouncing back, even shooting up higher than its pre-conflict value. Over the past 3 years, the ruble has dropped by around 30% compared to the US dollar. Compared to some other currencies, the euro dropped 7.5% against the dollar, while the yen took a 32% hit. So from this angle, Russia's economy is far from collapsing. Actually, by late October 2024, Russia, a country caught up in the conflict, was recognized as the fourth largest economy in purchasing power parity by the IMF, just behind China, US, and India. In fact, looking at ruble's performance, it doesn't really seem like Russia is in the middle of an ongoing conflict. So what kind of jaw-dropping measures did Russia pull off? Today, let's dive into Russia's conflict economy. When talking about conflict economy, we first need to take a larger view of Russia's economy from the pre-conflict era to where it stands today. By the end of 2021, Russia's GDP stood at 135 trillion rubles, and by the end of 2023, it was 172 trillion, marking a 27% yearly increase. Russia still managed a 7% GDP growth after adjusting inflation. At the end of 2021, the average Russian monthly salary was around roughly $549 and rose to about $714 by the end of 2023. This shows that Russia managed to hold their ground. By total, the West imposed 416 sanctions on Russia, with 60% targeting finance and trade since the conflict. These sanctions were so widespread that even everyday things like cats and trees in Russia felt the impact. In addition to this, the West's major strict sanctions on Russia in finance delivered an even more devastating blow. First, they froze Russia's assets abroad, completely freezing about half the country's overseas assets. Second, they restricted or cut off Russia's financial ties with the West. Third, they excluded Russia from the SWIFT payment system, like Visa and MasterCard, that deals nearly 44.8 million financial messages per day. Personally, I felt it firsthand. When I traveled to Russia in September without Russian bank cards, I'm stuck making payments in rubles. My UnionPay card from China works in some areas, but beyond that, other payment methods just don't cut it for trading goods. So back to the point. These three major strict sanctions pretty much cut off Russia's financial ties with the rest of the world. At the start of the conflict, Russia faced a bunch of problems, like foreign capital pulling out and people rushing to withdraw deposits and exchange currencies all at once. The currency depreciation not only causes market instability, but also drives up the cost of imports from the Russian government. Simply put, when a country's currency loses value, people have to spend more to buy goods from other countries, which ends up putting a heavy burden on the people. This is what we call imported inflation. At this point, the Russian government took a series of quick-witted actions. First, Russia drastically raised the bank's interest rate. Russia's central bank hiked its benchmark interest rate from 8.5% to 20%.
To 20%.
21%.
Think about it. If a deposit interest rate hits 20%, who would bother with foreign currency exchange? Just deposit your money. This move reduces financial mobility but helps shield against systematic risks. But a higher interest rate directly impacts economic vitality. The more money that sits in the bank, the less money there is circulating in the economy. Second, implementing compulsory exchange settlement. The government requires national exporters to exchange 80% of their foreign currencies earning for rubles, boosting the country's foreign currency reserves. After all, for any nation, foreign currency reserves are key to avoid systematic risks. Third, Russia leveraged its abundant resources. The government created two lists, 26 friendly countries and 48 unfriendly countries, and introduced the ruble settlement order, which mandated that Russia would only accept rubles as payments for natural gas exports to countries on the unfriendly countries list. At that time, Russia accounted for a quarter of global natural gas production. As a result, Europe, a major natural gas customer, was forced to buy rubles in large quantities for trade. But tying the ruble to the basic necessity of natural gas, within 3 months, the ruble share in Russian foreign trade increased by 21%, effectively preventing the ruble from collapsing. Of course, these countries don't have to buy Russian gas, of course, but if they want it, they better pay in rubles, or they'll be paying more elsewhere. So now you know who blew the Nord Stream pipelines. Once domestic economic stability was restored, Russia began making significant adjustments to its economy and trade structure by shifting away from the West and accelerating adoption of a national trade payment system. Russia fully removed dollars, pounds, and yen from its national wealth fund, gradually replacing them with renminbi assets and gold. Russia's 3 quick-witted actions to the sanctions helped stabilize the situation in the end. However, like everything, there are both pros and cons. The sanctions led to an increase in Russia's military-related manufacturing and decrease in employment. Along with these sanctions, affordable alternatives to McDonald's, P&G, and Starbucks have emerged, further contributing to the stabilization of the economy. Hey, but guys, it's a war, right? An economic operation that goes against the norms of peacetime comes with side effects. For example, frequent interest rate hikes and cuts can attract speculators. Some took advantage of the interest rate spread and indirectly led to the rise in house prices and M2. While M2 isn't fully representative of the money circulating in the society, it remains an important indicator of the economic barometer. The spike in M2 will inevitably lead to inflation. In November 2024, Russia's CPI rose by more than 8% yearly, with potato prices climbing by more than 70% compared to early 2024. Something clearly went wrong. Additionally, with military expenditure increasing, which is pivotal, the central bank's indecision in implementing measures to cool down the economy could lead to severe issues. For Russia, normalizing the economy will require both time and strategic thinking. It also heavily depends on the West's attitude towards Russia, especially after Trump takes office. Absolutely, while economic strategies behind the scenes are common, the conflict inevitably results in tremendous losses, not just economically, but in terms of lives as well. Anyway, peace is the ultimate hope for everyone.